Alright, and we're live. Welcome! Sorry we got a little late here. I was flipping through some stuff, and 5 minutes had passed before I had known. But we're here, we're back. Oh, goodness gracious. Ugh, it's been a few weeks. We managed to keep up with the podcast, obviously, and Riptide, surprisingly, for the last few weeks. But
yeah,
this
I,
week
stuck the toy in there, so that game wasn't skipped.
It's true. But this week marks the beginning of working on videos again for Battle Gamer, and I'm very happy with the response I've gotten from everyone and the video. The video has been doing pretty good, honestly. And honestly, it's one of those things of Bullet Dancer well, one, it was not a video I expected to do well at all. It's a 30-minute video. That's longer than most of my class videos.
Was there just more to it? What contributed to its length?
Bullet Dancer is a very...
Would you say awesome archetype?
It is awesome. I agree. But it's complicated. It's complicated because I feel like it needs to be thoroughly described and put into practical use for people to get a better understanding of what it does. Because Bullet Dancer is just a monk subclass. That's actually just what it is. Going over it, monk is the only class that can even pick it up until minimum level 8. And at level 8, the only other class that can pick it up is champion.
No, not even gunslinger.
Nope, because you have to be expert in unarmored defense.
Huh.
And most classes do not become expert in unarmored defense until level 11 or 13.
And at that point, I feel like you already have other archetypes that you're vested in or are just better.
Well, I mean, depending on what you're doing, right? If you're doing bonus archetype, which is a rule I recommend everyone use, then it's fine to pick up archetypes late in the game because you can pick up the dedication and then you can pick up its high level feats as long as they don't have any major prerequisites. But if you're not doing that, it becomes a lot harder to justify it. But yeah, let's see. Let's look at Gunslinger. When does Gunslinger get expert in unarmored defense? This only saving grace is all classes become expert in unarmored defense at some point. Yeah, Gunslingers can't pick it up until level 14 because they get unarmored expertise at 13. Fighter might get it before then. Let's see. When does Fighter get unarmored expertise? They get armor expertise at level 11, so they can pick up at level 12. Hey, thanks Sam for coming along and joining us today.
Welcome.
And I'm glad you liked it. And that's another thing is I'm so happy for this community support we got today. It was really fun. I woke up because I went to bed pretty much right after posting the video. And I woke up and people on the channel were like, yeah, the new video's out, woo! And like a bunch of comments. Like, the community has been so great today about getting together.
This is a fun little community that's been fostered here.
It is.
People are actually cool and nice to each other.
It's actually bizarre. I never thought, like, I made the Discord because I'm like, right, this is what you got to do to grow your channel. You make a community or whatever. I never actually thought people were gonna like join the community for reals.
And now
like,
there are regulars. There are regulars in the Discord that I like actively like speaking to. Well, when I see them start a conversation, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, well, we have over 75 people on the Discord. And we have at least like 6 people very regularly in the various channels posting about stuff. That's pretty good. It's pretty awesome.
And soon we'll have just people in VCs. I'm betting it.
Maybe, yeah.
People just like sitting there.
It's one of those things. That. It's always like it's ratioed. So you always need like certain amounts of people to get, you know, like certain kinds of activity. It's like YouTube in general. Like once you start getting close to like 1,000 subs, you'll start getting way more people watching your content. Like your videos will go from like getting 50 day one to 100 day one to 300 day one. And you'll get comments. You'll get comments based on like 1% of your audience base. Hello, Leonardo. We will be talking about some builds today. Oh yeah, Bullet Dancer, right? So Bullet Dancer, no class besides Monk can pick it up until level 8 minimum. And then most other classes can't pick it up until level 12 or 14. So, yeah, it's just a Monk subclass, actually. It's a really good Monk archetype. It's a really good one. It makes Monk really fun because, I mean, you get to be a gun monk.
Yeah, some fun gun foo.
Yeah. Bullet Dancer is also really just kind of complicated. Like, what weapons you can use or whatever. Even some people in the comments after watching the video didn't quite understand exactly everything that was going on. But yeah, it's because when you get Bullet Dancer, you get the Bullet Dancer stance. And the only strikes you can make during Bullet Dancer strike stance are bayonet, reinforced weapon stocks, or simple firearm strikes.
Okay.
You can't even like kick people or anything while in the Bullet Dancer stance.
Ah, damn, I was gonna be like, oh, so you just turned to Leon Kennedy. No, you can't do the roundhouse kicks.
Nope.
Aw.
Nope. You can elbow people in the face when you're trying to hit them with the butt of your gun, and that's as close as you get. Though, Bullet Dancer stance also allows you to use your guns as whatever monk, for whatever monk abilities. Like, you can use them for flurry of blows, or any monk feats that require you to make an unarmed strike that don't require a specific strike. So you can actually do stunning fist on people with guns.
Love to see it.
But yeah, like the fact that Bullet Dancer doesn't even give you the ability to use unarmed strikes is actually kind of dumb, It's actually stupid. You know what's worse? Not only that, but they have the you get the critical specialization for unarmed strikes as one of its feats.
You get a critical specialization
for something you can't use.
You can't do. That's really funny.
It's it's the only reason why. It's actually probably my longest why this anything is awesome video. Because like I had to sit there and like justify what actually is going on in Bullet Dancer. Now, to be fair, Bullet Dancer, you don't actually need to be in the stance unless you're trying to use something like Flurry of Blows, which I mean, I imagine monks would. Plus, one of its better feats, which is Bullet Dancer. Is it Bullet Dancer Blaze? I don't know. Unfortunately, Archive of Nephthys is taking the big shit today.
Yeah, looks like there's some server errors. I've been trying to load into it like this whole time.
But they have one feat that essentially allows you. It's not Bullet Dancer's Blaze. It's a different one, but it allows you to strike. If you strike an enemy with a bayonet or a reinforced stock, you can shoot them without provoking attacks of opportunity, essentially. Which is good. It allows you to essentially hit enemies and not like suffer from attack of opportunity in melee combat, because shooting using a ranged weapon and reloading both give you a opportunity to be attacked, because they both have the manipulate trait.
Yeah, no, that's way better than this from what Sand sounds like. Like,
so,
granted, its Boulder's still very cool. That one just gets rid of a big issue that gunslingers might have to face.
Yeah, brawling focus. Bullet Dancer gives you brawling focus. Which makes no sense, because in the stance that it gives you in the dedication, you can't use unarmed strikes.
It's really weird.
Now, it also does say in Brawling Focus that if you have the monastic weaponry feat, any weapons that have the monk trait also count for getting the critical specialization. But technically, nothing in this stance gives bayonets, reinforced stocks, or simple firearms the monk trait. So yeah, you get that's exactly what Bullet Dancer was all the way through. They give you a lot of feats that really either don't synergize with the idea of Bullet Dancer, or straight up are just not good feats. They give you some really good feats. Like, I will argue Bullet Dancer is a really good monk subclass. Because it does work for a monk, kind of, in a lot of good ways. But Bullet Dancer also gives you 2-weapon Fusillade as like a level 12 feat, which is Flurry of Blows.
And you already have.
Which you already have. You get 2-weapon Fusillade. Like, the difference between Flurry of Blows and 2-weapon Fusillade is 2-weapon Fusillade requires you to have 2 weapons. One must be a firearm. And when you attack using both weapons. Flurry of Blows, you just make 2 strikes. So you can make 2 bayonet strikes, or you could shoot someone and then make a bayonet strike. So 2-weapon Fusillade is just inferior, and they both have the flurry trait, so you can't use them both in the same turn.
All right, for this subclass, basically only monks can really get it. We're gonna give you flurry of blows twice. One of which is just bad.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's really bad. Like, Bullet Dancer has a lot of good things for the monk, and I would say it's a very viable pick. Unfortunately, there's, like, just a lot of feats that have no synergy whatsoever. They also have another feat. It's a gunslinger feat, so I can't really blame Bullet Dancer for it, other than the fact that someone decided that Bullet Dancer needed this feat in its archetype. But it's called Trick Shot. It's 2 actions, and you make an easy DC for your level, which I think is the average DC -5 or something like that. So most characters would get it pretty simple. And you can do one of 2 things. You can shoot an unattended object and move it 10 feet. Or you can shoot an exploding barrel.
That's like that you make, or like it's just there?
It has to be present in the scene.
What?
And one of the features of Trick Shot is if no options are viable, the GM must tell you before spending your actions.
This isn't Call of Duty. Like, they're not just sitting everywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
so
what?
So I sat there. I'm like, okay, this is the worst feat ever, and it's a gunslinger feat, so it's just a feat that gunslinger also has. It's garbage. And it's like, all right, so here's what I'm telling y'all. This should not have been a feat. This should just be an action that you can ask the GM to take, because if there is a crystal ball on a table, because that's an example they give for shooting an object and pushing it or whatever. If a player asks me, hey, can I shoot the crystal ball off the table? I'll be like, yeah, sure. Hit this DC. And then they'd make one attack action. And then push it away like 10 feet or whatever.
Yeah,
so they're spending 2 actions.
I have a feat to shoot that crystal ball. I can do it. You're like, I would have let you.
Yeah, I just would have let you. If there was exploding barrels in my environment, I probably want you to shoot them. And I'd probably only ask you to do it for 1 action.
Imagine there's a party with 2 gunslingers, one of which has that. You put some explosive barrels, gunslinger without. DM, can I shoot the explosive barrel? No.
No, you don't
Fuck
have the
you,
feat.
no.
Jim's got it though, so Jim, go hog wild.
Like, that is so stupid.
It's a really bad feat. The only good thing about the feat is that it reminds players they can do things other than shoot the enemies.
Which is important, I guess.
And like, when you look at it rationally, 2 actions make sense for what the actions do. Pushing, like, say an enemy gets their weapon disarmed with a crit disarm, because it has to be a crit disarm for them to actually drop the weapon. You can shoot that weapon away from them for 2 actions, which makes sense because then you're forcing the enemy to stride to go pick up the weapon, consuming 2 of their actions. Or they just don't have a weapon, which is way more detrimental. They're better off going to go pick up their weapon. So that makes sense. And the barrel damage, you shoot a barrel, or it gives other examples as well, like demonic pustules or whatever. Like, you can shoot things that are viably combustible or whatever. And it does 6d6 in a 20-foot burst, which is essentially a fireball for 2 actions.
True.
Which makes sense. That seems balanced. Except when you put it rationally, and if such situations were to occur organically in the game, no DM would force you to use 2 actions to do either of those things.
That is bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, like, with the whole disarmed weapon thing, some DMs will probably be like, yeah, you could shoot it. Other DMs are like, nah, I don't think so. The enemy already has to, like, bend over and pick it up, and you're just gonna, like, make him have to move to get it, which could be really bad, because, you know, it could be fighter right up in his face, ready to attack of opportunity them. So, yeah. There's other weird things, like, there's a fun feat I really like called Black Powder Boost, which is you shoot your gun mid-jump and you give yourself a 10-foot boost.
Yeah, the rocket jump feat.
Yeah. And they have one called Bullet Dancer Blaze, which is 2 actions. You stride, then make the jump, and then at any point during the jump part, you can shoot someone. Now, the theory behind Black Powder Blaze is that you're using the gun to give yourself a boost during the jump. So I don't know how you're whipping the gun around to strike someone else when you're discharging the gun.
Yeah.
I rationalized it and to myself after the video. Technically, you're leaping and only using that boost for an extra 10 feet, which you could do technically more towards the ends of the jump. So you could be halfway through your leap before even Black Powder boosting, technically speaking. It's really weird thematically speaking. And a lot of people are like, no, you're discharging your other gun. Which I would say, no, that's dumb, because now not only are you discharging a gun to boost, but now you have to reload both guns to, if you want to shoot anyone, you know, after that. So, I don't think that's necessary. It's just, it just wasn't making sense, because normally you would think you'd boost when you start the jump, but technically that's not always the case. Bullet Dancer also gets one of the best reloads in the game.
Dude, oh yeah?
Yep. They can shoot their gun and reload it in a single action.
Huh. Yeah, damn, that's good.
It's really good. The only problem is it has the flourish trait. So you can't shoot 3 times in a row with it, pretty much. But if you're hasted, you could still theoretically shoot 3 times in that round, as long as your gun is considered loaded at the beginning. Because you would shoot your gun, reload it, do your flourish shot, and then do another shot. So, you could shoot your gun 3 times in a row with Bullet Dancer, which is more than most gunslingers, actually.
This class really does seem like really, really cool shit paired up with, like, why is this here? Or
exactly.
Why would I use this?
Bullet Dancer, that's why the video took 30 minutes. Because I was just sitting there like, guys, I'm telling you, it's a good archetype, kind of.
I love that qualifier.
Having to explain everything in Bullet Dancer was just a pain. Alright, so beyond Bullet Dancer, which I did not mean to take 30 minutes of our time just talking about Bullet Dancer. And you know what's funny? The one that comes after it, Butterfly Blade, is actually has some of the best synergy in design as far as archetypes are up to this point. It's like the exact opposite of Bullet Dancer. I'm actually really excited for the Butterfly Blade video to come out, because I think the Butterfly Blade is a super underrated archetype. It's actually really, 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 really good. But, yeah. So, let's talk about some good news first before we start diving into, like, why everyone sucks at building characters in Pathfinder. I just today got information that my subscription for getting rulebooks for Pathfinder, you can do this, so you can sign up for on their website, my subscription just shipped out. Normally I wouldn't do this because normally I buy it on Roll20, which will give me a PDF anyway. But that's the thing. I now have the Dark Archive PDF.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So before most people get their hands on it, I am going to be very busy from today forward and be posting lots of videos on my Thought Materials, Psychic, and all the archetypes that are in it. So, yeah. Those videos are coming out next week.
Hell yeah.
So next week's gonna be really, 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 really busy. But that is why I ordered it in the first place, because my hope was to get it this week and start on it this week. But that didn't pan out, and the week's already almost over. And I've already done my work for the week, almost. I gotta do one more video this week, which is the A to B archetype tier list. Since tomorrow Butterfly Blade will come out, which will be the last B, and then the tier list will come out, and then next week I'll be posting a video every day on what came out in Dark Archive as far as like this channel is concerned.
Oof. That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot. I'm excited. I'm excited because we got the info. We got the access. But it's definitely gonna be a thing of it's just gonna be a lot of work. It's gonna be a lot of work, and not only that, but it's not like gonna be backlogged at all. Because it's just gonna come out like almost as soon as it's ready. Or at least like once a day. So yeah. It's gonna be a lot. But then I'm going to start trying to bulk record and edit videos for next month. And I'm excited because there's a lot of good archetypes in C and D. I'm very much looking forward to the Clockwork Reanimator.
That just sounds cool.
It's really sick, and apparently it came out in the Outlaws of Alkenstar, I believe. Yes. So I have a feeling some good old guns are gonna make their way in there. I'll be right back. Fortunately for you, Alex, there's not really many people to talk to, if any.
Thank God.
I'll be right back.
We're safe then. Hello, those who are here. How's it going today? Oh man, I wonder what builds we'll talk about today.
All right, I'm back.
Thank goodness.
It's all good. Today seems to be a slow day. That's fine. It's not a controversial topic this week, so yeah.
You can always make it controversial real quick.
I mean, it's going to be controversial. It's going to be controversial because I think I'm just going to generally disagree with what people think constitutes a good build.
That, or you could just quickly title it, "You're making your characters wrong" in Pathfinder.
I could. I did think about doing that. But, you know, it's an annoying thing of... Right now, the tabletop community has been just tearing itself apart. Like, it has been trending on Twitter at least once every a couple weeks because people keep bitching about Pathfinder showing up in YouTube videos being, haha, our system's better.
Yeah, that is true.
And it's like, do I really need to, like, feed more negativity into the machine? I know I'll get views. Was that the right thing to do? I don't know. It's, there's already so much controversy over what constitutes a good build. Because, right, what do you think constitutes a good build in Pathfinder?
To me, or like in general? Because to me, if it's fun. Mm-hmm. If it's just fun to play, you made a good build.
That's true, but what constitutes fun?
Me...
You
yeah,
constitute fun?
Yeah, no, if for me, what I describe a good build is if you make a character, you enjoy it and don't want to switch. That's
that's not even like what aspects about it, you know?
Yeah.
No, you got, like, what do you find fun?
I like DPS stuff, but there's exceptions if the personality of the character is good. Like, one of my favorite characters I'm playing is my least favorite class to play. I hate Bard. I hate how they play, but I love this character and I like playing them. But I hate their class. Like that.
I mean, see, and that's the thing. We have groups that have very strong, like, role play preferences.
Yeah.
If our characters, like, commit the fantasy perfectly, then it's okay. But you also kind of tapped into the wait, is it the flick mace or is it what's the broken weapon? Is it the hooked hammer? I can't remember what broken weapon there is in the game right now. There's one. I want to say it's the flick mace, but is it not the flick mace?
I didn't even know that there was a broken weapon.
No, it's not the flick mace. Maybe it's the hook hammer. There's one that makes... I don't remember. There's supposed to be a weapon that has a really strong build. But you did hit the nail on what most people find fun in the game, which is DPS numbers. I should say, most people's an overgeneralization. But what people talk about in tabletop games more than anything is doing the deeps. Because every build idea you see that's not like themes is always about how to do the most damage or how to get the most AC or how to do something that completely breaks the game.
True.
Like, that's what people find fun or what people look up on the internet. And it's this super unhealthy culture of people online finding the only thing I was watching this guy play Monster Hunter, and he suddenly throws a complete bitch fit because he can't optimize the style of weapon he uses the most. He uses gun lance, and gun lance has 3 types of like exploding shells. They have wide, they have normal, and they have long. And the shells come in levels, and normal gets up to 8, and I think wide has an 8, but long only has 1 weapon that has 8. All the other ones are 7 for the level, which means it just does, I think, like 10% less damage or something like that. And he just threw a complete bitch fit about it. And he just absolutely threw the biggest hissy fit because the thing he wanted was not optimized as much as he could have made it. And then he's just like, man, the people who make this game don't know, like, what the benefit of long is it's more accurate than the other types of explosions. So having less damage doesn't mean as much because you're more likely to hit with it.
Yeah, it's better than doing no damage.
And that's the problem is, yeah, but I could always hit with normal, but I like doing long. It's like, well, then I'm sorry to say you can't min-max your numbers as much as you want. I don't know what you want me to say. You don't want the one that's easier to use because it's slightly more accurate to be as good as something that requires more skill? I don't know. And that's people's mindsets, right? He likes the game, and he even went to mention, like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely like the game. But the company just shits all over this weapon, which they don't. They got a lot of really good stuff in the newest expansion. And Leonardo here is right. So there's not a lot that's just straight up broken in Pathfinder 2e. I will say that as the game keeps maturing, they're very much optimized. And very much optimized for damage.
Yeah.
And that... It makes sense, right? That's why, on my channel, the archery archetype is the most viewed archetype video currently out. And will probably be so for a long time. Because the archery archetype contains one of the best feats in the game for doing damage. Which is Archer's Shot. Which is 2 actions, but it adds a +2 circumstance bonus to your 2 hits. Which
and
means...
I haven't, like, seen it, but I assume pairing that with Ranger is going to make it fucking crack.
Well, no. Pairing it with Fighter makes it cracked.
Oh.
Because Fighter already gets a bonus of +2 over the other classes. That's its feature. So this makes Fighters essentially +4 over everyone else. Granted, yes, it's for 2 actions. But that doesn't matter. Because no one shoots a 3rd time anyway, or shouldn't, because attacking 3 times in a row is one of the most, like, inefficient things you can do in the game, even though everyone does it anyway, because they don't know what to do with their actions.
Sometimes you just want to get that 3rd hit in, you know?
Yeah,
so it is, like, not a good idea, but I'm guilty of that so much, because I'm like, but maybe.
Unless you're a Ranger. Because Flurry Ranger gets, like, a -6 to hit with their 3rd non-shots. Which is just barely worse than anyone else on their 2nd shot, so... It's actually really, really good. And then Fighter can eventually get that number down to, like, -2. For all their attack. For all, yeah, they're nuts. That's high level. High level. But... But yeah, the archery dedication gives you not only that, but like other feats like point blank shot or whatever. That if you're within the weapon's first range increment, you do like extra damage.
Yeah.
And all kinds of things that just make it do more damage. And not only that, but if you're a fighter and you take the archery dedication, you're gonna have 2 weapons. Whatever weapon group you picked for your fighter, like primary group that gets that +2 bonus, and bows. So speaking, it makes fighter way more versatile, and you're also probably gonna do more with bows than your other weapon. Actually, it makes the fighters stupid optimized and do a lot of damage.
The first class is already really optimized to do more damage.
But that's the thing, right? Fighter, if everyone's seen my tier list video at this point, fighter's like a C or B. I can't remember where I put it. Might have been a B. Because fighter has no good anything in exploration or utility.
Yeah. They just fight.
They just fight. And roleplay wise, I say they're somewhat flexible, but in the end, it's like you're either a mercenary or a noble who knows how to fight, or just a dude who knows how to fight. And it, like, what separates fighters is the weapons they use, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. What you build to fight with.
Which can create a lot of diversity of play. Fighter is not a bad class by any means. But when people are like, hey, I wanna do the most damage in the game, they always pick fighter.
Yeah.
Because fighter statistically just does more damage. But running the numbers, they don't do that much more damage. In an average fight, a fighter pulls ahead by like 14 points or something at level 5 compared to a barbarian. Because barbarians hit like a bus. Like, holy shit. Barbarians, like, they might not hit you a lot, but they definitely, if they hit you, dump damage. Like, the giant barbarian can add like +16 to their damage or something like that. When they hit you with their rage damage. That's at like a little later level, but still. Like, they still can, I still think they get like +8, I think, to hit you at level, they get their barbarian damage at 7, I want to say.
Yeah, I actually don't know. I've yet to play Barbarian.
Barbarian's really good. I like Barbarian
fun.
a lot.
They're like, they look like all their rules are super cool. I don't know why I haven't played one yet. Maybe just because I haven't thought of like a fun character idea for one.
Is it brutality? No. Though brutality's good because barbarians just get access to critical specialization effects while they're raging.
Handy.
Which is good. Most classes have a lot more requirements for it. Fighter only gets it for one weapon group. And, well, they get it for the others eventually later. But it starts out with only one.
And I only have mine for Magus because I have the Mauler feat for the dedication.
Yeah, 7th level barbarians get an increase to their damage. Yeah. Dragon gets 16. And Barbarian gets 18 at level 7.
God damn, alright.
And Fury gets 12, which is the least. But still,
I know that the Fury Barbarians have the least amount of damage output compared to the others.
Yeah. Well, Fury just doesn't give you anything except an extra feat. But having an extra first level feat can be really good because there's actually, like, one of the things about Barbarian, and this is one of the things that a lot of people don't think about, is that Fury is really, really good because it gives you essentially an extra class feat. While the others are doing more damage, you can have a lot more you can add to the game. Like Raging Intimidation is amazing. Because one, you can't demoralize while raging normally, which is stupid.
That's dumb.
But yeah, it's because you can't use things with the concentrate trait unless it has the rage tag. So, not only that, but you get Intimidating Glare and Scared to Death as free feats when you pick up Raging Intimidation, when you get access to them. As soon as you meet the prerequisites, it says.
Yeah.
But that's a really good feat. There's also Adrenaline Rush and Acute Vision and Sudden Charge. Sudden Charge is really good. And this is the thing, right? So what we're going to talk about today is what constitutes good builds, and there's some tips and tricks a lot of people don't know really help certain classes. And we'll start with Barbarians since I'm already here anyway. So Barbarians eventually get a trait that allows them to, with an action, combine Rage with any action that has the Rage trait. It's called Mighty Rage at level 11. And what it is as a free action, as a part of your Rage, you can use one of your actions that have the Rage trait. It's super important that you pick up feats that actually have the Rage trait in them, which you would be surprised how many Barbarian feats actually don't have the Rage trait. They don't need it because, like, it's one of those things that only gets added to things that normally you wouldn't be able to do while raging. One of them is in Raging Intimidation, for instance, because that means when you rage, you can also attempt to intimidate someone, and eventually you can get it's like something shout or whatever, ferocious shout or whatever it's called.
Just like you just scream and people get scared?
Yeah, it's everyone in like a 30-foot radius to you.
AoE Demoralizing Glare then, or Intimidating Glare feat.
Exactly. And it is really, really good because the fear status is really strong.
Oh yeah.
But there's all kinds of other really good feats as well. There's another one. I could have swore Sudden Charge also applied. Let's see. Furious Finish is hilarious with it, actually.
What does that one do?
So Furious Finish is a strike you can make where you pour all your rage into it, and essentially the strike does extra damage equal to the number of rounds of rage you have remaining, which is a maximum of 10. So technically, with Mighty Rage, you can use Furious Finish, end your rage immediately, and add 10 damage to the strike.
Huh.
But you become fatigued, and you cannot rage for 10 minutes.
Makes sense, I guess. That does sound pretty fun.
But it's a really strong hit. I use it in my assassination build for Investigator, actually. Because you can roll Devise a Stratagem, and then you can, if it's going to be a crit, you can rage, then make the strike, and make the strike a Furious Finisher, and add that rage damage onto whatever your strike is. And because you're using your Devise a Stratagem, you also add your Devise a Stratagem strategic damage dice, which, you know, could be upwards of like an additional 5d6. It makes a really good assassination build for Investigator. And because you know you're going to crit, because you devised the stratagem and you know what you're going to roll, you can add an additional 20 damage essentially onto the roll.
I like the idea of that assassination of just like your assassin's whole technique is getting really, really upset at their target for like
exactly.
a second.
In that moment.
Fuck this one guy in particular.
Channel that rage and then just finish him off. And, fun fact, Furious Finish does not have a requirement that it's a melee strike. It just says make a strike. So he used it with guns, which means he got fatal on top of it.
Interesting.
Another great barbarian rage that you can get like right out the get-go. It will take 2 actions as a part of your rage, but you can do oversized throw, where you just take a piece of the surrounding scenery and chuck it at someone.
Oh, okay. That took me a second to realize. Pick up parts of the scenery, use it as a weapon.
Yeah, you can just reach into the ground, pick a big ass boulder up, and chuck it at someone.
That's great.
It's great. And you could do that at the beginning of the battle. You're like, I take my turn, I rage and throw shit. 2 actions. There's all kinds of really good barbarian rage feats. Friendly Toss is something you can do as your beginning rage. You can just rage and throw your friend as a single action.
Hell yeah.
Right, but see, that's the thing, right? All barbarians get access to Mighty Rage. All of them.
Mm-hmm.
So all barbarian builds should have one thing with the rage trait they can do when they start their rage, because it will make your rage feel better. Because rage is just one of those things that you do it and it doesn't do anything, it just ups your damage. It's a buff. But in combat, like, the thing is, the more things players do in combat, the better they feel overall. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's a lot of damage. Players just want to do a bunch of actions. So getting actions that can help make that action economy feel better works super good. There's just a ton that you can do. Thrash is another good one. You grapple an enemy, rage, and with that rage action, you just smash them on the ground a few times. Like,
I remember that one.
There's a lot of actions that can make the barbarian feel really good. And again, it doesn't have to be anything that just necessarily does damage. You just want to get the most action economy out of something that normally slows you down.
Yeah.
Here's another good one that we can talk about. Magus.
Yeah.
Magus is a rough class to use because They're a spell class casting martial class. And while martial classes get a lot of action economy, it feels, with a lot of different feats, whether it's a single action that attacks multiple times or whatever, spellcasters are the exact opposite. You spend 2 actions to use 1 spell, and then you have 1 action remaining. Thank you, NT. And so it can make Magus feel really bad, especially if you have to reposition. Spell Strike is good because Spell Strike counts as 2 attacks for 2 actions, but one of those is a spell. But most players don't feel like it. Spell Strike feels like a single action.
Yeah, it honestly does.
Even though technically you're doing 2 actions, with a 3 action overall cost reduced down to 2. It's a really good action economy, but it doesn't feel that good.
It feels like a Paladin Smite, which for me is hype, because I love Paladin Smites. Like, yeah, I feel that.
But yeah, so it doesn't matter what your Magus builds are. It won't matter if you don't feel like you can do anything, or if you miss your spell strike, you feel like shit.
Yeah.
Because you just waste a resource, and you don't get to really do anything else in the combat round.
It's like a more hyper version of my problem with spellcasters that I feel like is a good point is being made, is like the feeling that you have 1 chance to do something and you just miss, and you're like, well, I guess I do nothing. It's like the lamest feeling.
What you could do easily is True Strike, because True Strike's actually good in this game. It's a level 1 spell. It's really easy to load up on, especially if you take multi-class archetypes to get more spell slots. Because Spell Strike, or True Strike is 1 action. You can 1 action Spell Strike, or True Strike into Spell Strike and roll twice to hit with Spell Strike, taking the better result.
That's true. Yeah, I keep forgetting True Strike's actually good.
It's really, really good. In fact, it's so good, I recommend any Magus do what they can to multi-class into another spellcaster just to get their basic spellcasting to get 1 extra level 1 slot just so they can True Strike regularly.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to try that.
It's really important. It's really, really good for the Magus. And it gets harder and harder to justify taking True Strike when you only have 6 spell slots overall. 4 of which you can put anything in, and 2 that you can only put a certain kind, which Spell Strike can go into, but a 4th level Spell Strike is the same as a 1st. So there's really no point in having 4th level Spell Strikes.
Yeah.
Not only that, but one of the number 1 things, I'm playing a Magus as well, is all Maguses need to have haste. Absolutely need haste and need to have it available. Because it makes your action economy feel better.
I do honestly need haste. I don't have it currently.
Unfortunately, depending on your use of focus points. My Magus uses a lot of focus points, so it's not super viable for me to take this feat. But for other Magus who don't necessarily have a lot of focus point usage, are Hasted Assault, so level 14 feet, so gotta wait till level 14. But Hasted Assault is a focus point version of haste, essentially.
Huh.
I'm trying to pull it up right now, but of course, it's always daring when we are doing this stream that our Kevin Ethos is just ass.
Yeah, mine won't load like at all.
Alright, moving along, pulling it up. But it's essentially a focus point version of focus point version of haste. And Magus needs haste. It's just the only thing that makes him feel good. Not only that, but the great thing about haste is that you get the extra action that round. So even if you haste, you can still haste, Arcane Cascade, Stride in one turn. It's mostly a buff action to get you into combat, but you then the rest of that combat get an extra action, and you're already in Arcane Cascade. That's another bad thing about Magus. Arcane Cascade is so hard to slot in because you spell strike and because you need to move a lot in combat. It's hard to get that extra action in to Arcane Cascade, which a lot of Magus hybrid studies need in order to get the benefits of their particular hybrid study. And it's one I find I'm very frequently incapable of dedicating an action to, which sucks. It's either I buffer around or I get into it, and I oftentimes just want to get into the combat.
True. Well, like with your, because I assume you also have time jump.
No, I do not.
Oh.
Which I should. It's a really good spell,
really
but I just don't have. I have a lot of good spells that are good for like buffing and stuff like that, because I have like an elemental Magus build essentially. My build is based around using. I archetyped into Witch to get elemental betrayal to make enemies that take certain elemental damage take a bunch of damage. And we have a monk who has a water stance, so if I put the water mark on them, the monk does more damage, and my ice spells and such do more damage.
Pretty cool.
It's really good. Though the problem with the build is I have to use an action to sustain the mark. Which sucks on Magus, because your action economy always feels really tight. But yeah, so Magus, you have to have hastes. You need to take feats that give you access to extra actions, and honestly, you need to pick up some strikes from like other archetypes or whatever that are just single action strikes to make it so that you're not just either normal hitting something or spell striking something.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel good. And that's the thing, right? Magus can dump damage. Magus is really good because they're really good at dumping damage on enemies.
Yeah, some of the spells I have access to, like, I am excited to use the Draw the Lightning spell strike. That's going to be a great time.
Yeah. One of the ones I have is Prismatic Spray or whatever. And some of the Prismatic Spray effects do like 50 damage.
Jesus.
Depending on which one you roll. So it's like I spell strike. I don't know what I'm gonna get, but there's a high chance I'll do an extra 30, 40, or 50 damage to the enemy on top of my strike, which will feel amazing.
True.
And that's like the whole point of today's topic is literally just Pathfinder's a great game. There's a lot of strategy in it, and it's a really hard game to break thoroughly. So I feel like min-max builds in Pathfinder are still a thing, of course, but I feel like they're just not as important as other kind of building techniques, like quality of life techniques that make your character build that much better.
Just function better so you can do the things you want to do more consistently.
Exactly. It's a really big thing about picking styles that allow you to do a lot of things and allow you to do things that make your character very effective. Another good class we can talk about today is Swashbuckler. Swashbuckler is, I feel, one of the roughest classes to make work because their panache is skill-based, and against enemies of your level or higher, it's harder to get your panache off. And if you don't have panache, you're in a bit of a hard situation. Not only that, but you have finishers that consume panache, so not being able to get your panache is even harder.
Yeah, from the brief bit I played Swashbuckler, that was really the vibe I got. Like, man, if you're not getting panache, you're not really doing much, are you?
Exactly.
You have a very like specific way, like combo that you have to get as a Swashbuckler, and if you miss a step, you kind of just fucked.
Yeah. So for most Swashbucklers, I recommend picking up, whether you have the bonus dedication fee or not, at least the very beginning dedication fee for Acrobat. Because the base dedication for Acrobat will get you to Legendary and Acrobatics eventually. And you can always use Tumble Through to get Panache.
That's true. That was the more consistent one I found.
So, Acrobat is super necessary. It also saves you on your skill economy because you can put those skill increases into other things. Like the things that give you panache normally, like athletics if you're the gymnast, or into intimidation if you're I forget what it's called. Intimidation if you're the braggart.
Yeah.
Or diplomacy if you're into wit. Fencer can use deception, which is really good. And Fencer's, I think, highly underrated. Fencer's really good because feinting your enemies is just an overall good tactic in combat.
Like, I always thought it was something you only used as a rogue. No, it really does seem like it's just a good thing to do.
Most combat characters should have deception at least somewhat, because feint makes your enemy flat-footed to you, and if you're right in their face and you're gonna attack 3 times anyway, fuck the third attack, feint them, make them flat-footed so that your first hit either hits really, really well, or your second hit has a much better chance to hit.
Yeah, honestly.
Swashbuckler also has a lot of other varieties of feats, like, which one? What was called? It's one that you used quite a bit. I believe it's called, like, Year First.
Like After You or something.
After You.
Yeah, the one where you just elect to go last, so that way you have a guaranteed panache on your first turn.
Yep.
I know Slug uses it too, because it is really good.
It's the best way to just reliably get panache, but it sucks because you're inevitably gonna get less combat turns. Like, you either get as many combat turns as everyone else, or less. And you're more likely gonna get less than everyone else because you're last.
Yeah, I always found it like I normally kind of was down to go last as Swashbuckler because it really felt like I could, when I'd move in, like my target was pretty set in front of me, like who I'd be going for, or I can just have my allies help get me to a location a little quicker. Like I found it felt good, but I can see like on a larger scale, not everyone wants to just go last every combat.
Yeah, well, not only that, but like I said, you are highly likely to get less turns than everyone else.
Yeah.
And that doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good, but it's a really good way to get panache really easy with no effort. I think that taking Acrobat is just overall better. You get, and there's some good feats in Acrobat that work really well with swashbucklers in general.
Yeah.
Finishing follow through is also really good because if you use a finisher on an enemy and they go to 0 hit points, you get panache back. It's really good. You allows you to use your finishers when you know an enemy is really low and you get the opportunity, and then you just finish and get panache back again to keep up your damage with the combat.
I always love skills like that in games, where like you have a kill skill that gives you a bonus with you when someone dies. You just like do a big long combo.
Death chain skills are always really good. Where it's just like kill, get it back, kill, get it back, kill, get it back. That's why Darius is fun in League of Legends, because you can just dunk on people over and over and over if they're all low enough. But yeah, there is such a wide variety in Swashbuckler, but I feel like people who pick Swashbuckler don't always realize like what the class needs to feel good, and that's why I feel like Swashbuckler gets underplayed quite a bit. There's just not like, it's not like Fighter that gets a bonus to hit. It struggles to get panache off sometimes. And they can only wear up to light armor as a martial class.
Oof.
Yeah, when you play Swashbuckler, you almost always have to have a high dex. Because if you don't, you're going to get stomped on. Now, there are ways to go around it, but even then, your panache like bonus damage only applies if you're using weapons with the finesse trait. Finesse or agile. So, Swashbuckler is limiting in some ways. It's got a lot of good stuff, and they got really great feats. There's actually a really solid fear build for Swashbuckler. But if you want to use stronger weapons that use... I mean, technically, you can use a finesse weapon and still use your strength to wield it. It just the weapon itself just needs to have the trait. So there are some heavy weapon builds that can utilize, or not heavy weapon, but that can allow your swashbuckler to be heavier. Like, you could actually use, you can actually get, if you take the Bastion, or is it Sentinel? Sentinel. If you take Sentinel archetype dedication, you can get up to heavy armor.
Huh.
And you can get up to heavy armor easily. You'll have to take a couple feats. You'll have to take a couple general feats, because heavy armor makes you trained in up to medium, and then if you're already trained in medium, you get up to heavy. If you take the general feat armor proficiency, you can get to medium, and then you'll upgrade to heavy automatically. And not only that, but it upgrades with your armor proficiency that you get for your class, because that's what it does for Sentinel. So you could play a heavy armored... there's actually a fun build. You could play a heavy armored elf build, actually, with Swashbuckler, because the Elven Curve Blade, which is a really good weapon, it's essentially a giant scimitar. It's a D8 weapon, it has finesse, and it has forceful. So every time you hit, or every time you're attacking in the round, you're generating more damage. And you can make an Iron Whirlwind build, essentially.
That sounds sick.
It's good. That's what we're talking about today, is the underlying mechanics. People always talk about how to optimize damage. And while that's good, feeling like the class works is more important. If you never play Swashbuckler because you don't like dex builds, then you're just locking a class off to yourself. So why don't I tell you how to make a heavy strength build Swashbuckler that's very legitimate, and then you could go Gymnast, and then when you trip or shove or whatever the enemies. In fact, you could take Sentinel and actually go into the Mauler archetype dedication.
A fun one.
And because the Elven Curve Blade is a two-handed weapon, it applies for all the Mauler base feats. Which means you could do improved knockdown, which means you strike the enemy, and if you hit, you just knock them down as if you crit them instead.
It's something I'm working towards.
It's a really good build set. And, you know, let's talk. I would talk about Alchemist, but Alchemist is just a hard class for a lot of people to play anyway. I did talk to Mark Seifter, and he told me that Alchemist can strike above most classes with certain combinations of features.
Huh.
Because Alchemist is a weird class, and it got designed weird because you can... It's a weird class because of mutagens and such like that. You can give yourself lots of bonuses with Alchemist. But Alchemist gets expertise with their weapons at level 7, which most melee martial classes get it by around level 5, give or take. And then they don't get master in their alchemical bombs until... what is it? When do they get master? Do they not get master?
They don't get master in alchemical bombs? The Alchemist?
Yeah, they just don't get master.
Huh. That's bizarre.
Yep, they just don't get master. And they don't get armory mastery until level 19, which is rough because most classes get it by level 17.
Yeah.
So yeah, because Alchemist is going to be behind, everyone shits on Alchemist because they never get mastery in their bombs, which sucks.
It's really weird.
The thing about that, and what I was told, is that, one, Alchemist bombs have their own item proficiency that they make them with. So when you throw a bomb, you essentially get the item bonus with it. And so at certain levels you can get access to +2, +3, but that's like the same as other classes. And even looking at it, you get those bonuses at essentially the same rate as other classes do. You get +2 at level 11, +3 at level 17, which is when other classes essentially get access to those weapons as well. What makes Alchemist work is mutagens. And not only that, but because Alchemists also always do damage, if you pick up the bomber feat, which I mean every Alchemist should take a bomber, it allows you to draw a bomb and throw it as an action.
Yeah, you should take that, damn.
You absolutely need it. And no, it's not Eagle Eye. Is it Quicksilver? What is the mutagen he told me about? Uh, but you're always doing splash damage. So if an enemy has a particular elemental weakness, you're always proccing it. You cannot miss it. It's actually impossible for you to miss it because of how splash damage works. And there is the Drakehark mutagen.
Oh, I love that one.
It's a really good one. It gives you a lot of AC. The basic one gives you a +4 to AC with a dex cap of +2. And it can get up to +7 AC. With a dex cap of +2, which can give you the most armor in the game.
Yeah.
Or tie for it, depending. If they have +1, +2 armor, whatever. Also gives you bonuses to perception, also gives you access to the Drakeheart Surge, which allows you to stride twice by consuming the rest of the potion, essentially. Bomb-based archetypes? Not necessarily. They have the artillerists. But that's about it.
I'm actually surprised they haven't made more.
Bomber's Eye is a really good potion or elixir as well, because it reduces circumstance bonus to AC. This that they gain from cover. There's all kinds of tricks that if you can min-max, if you could really do the work on alchemists, you can do a lot of damage still. And you can get your numbers pretty high. And not only that, but because of how mutagens and everything work, you can make your alchemist be able to do, like, literally anything.
Huh. Interesting for a class that I cannot wrap my head around. Gosh, like, that class is, like, so much going on that I just can never understand what's happening with it.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a class that's very deeply rooted in Pathfinder 1 mechanics, because they wanted to make a very complex class.
So it's Pathfinder 1, yeah.
And I mean, like, there's all kinds of they've released in some books extra alchemical items. I know the new book that's coming out later this year, I believe, the Treasure Trove, has a whole chapter dedicated to alchemical items that they're adding to the game. So Alchemist is gonna get a pretty big boost in that direction, in that area. And there's also one of the other things that makes Alchemist really, really strong as well is they can add I don't remember what one it is. It's either like Sticky Elixir or something like that. Essentially what it does is it adds persistent damage to all their bombs.
Huh.
Is it Sticky Poison? I don't remember which one it is, but there is ones that can make it where the enemies are constantly taking persistent damage. And that's the thing, right? Alchemist is all about constantly adding to a battle by never being able to miss because of how splash damage works. And debuffing enemies, doing persistent damage. If you understand the class to its most, you can make Alchemist a true menace on the battlefield, but you have to really understand the Alchemist. And you have to take things like Quick Bomber. Like, all alchemists need Quick Bomber. Just because it will make your action economy much better.
Remember we fought an alchemist, like an enemy, and it was very... You like...
Gray's character almost died because of the number of persistent damage effects on her.
Exactly.
On them. Well,
like,
on her, because that was a girl character. Them. Because they're non-binary.
Yeah. Fire is evil. Yeah, exactly.
Fire is evil. Fire and acid. You had both. Alchemists are scary. I really wish to see more alchemists. But fasted. They are extremely detrimental. Let's talk about Bard. Bard is a really fun class in Pathfinder, actually. It's held back because the occult spell list is not super great, but it's gonna get better because I just remembered. I guarantee they're adding a bunch of occult spells to the they're adding a bunch of occult spells in this newest book.
Hell yeah.
So let me take a look at some of the new spells. Dark Archive. Woo! I'm so excited to open this file. Y'all have no idea.
We're getting a sneak peek.
Getting a little sneak peek. I'll be doing a lot of videos next week on Dark Archive, so none of y'all worry, it's coming. Rule books. Make a new folder. Dark Archive. Save. Show in folder. Extract here. I'm very, very, very excited about this. Let's go to on the cryptid section. And there's new gear for cryptids. Oh, I'm so excited.
Oof.
I got a lot of great stuff in this book. Cults, curses, temporal anomalies. Let's see. Did they not add like a spell section to this?
There's all hidden in there somewhere.
Deviant spells. Apocryphal spells. So 104, 142. Temporal spells. Spell item list glossary. Here we go. 216. Arcane spells. Occult spells. Yeah, they're adding a lot of really good ones. Phase Bolt is a new cantrip they're adding. Oh, did they add a good divine cantrip? Please tell me. No divine cantrips?
What?
I'm disappointed. Divine really needed some good cantrips.
Come on, Paizo.
It's a little lame. Occult got a lot of telekinetic spells added to the list, which is going to be really good because what they really suffered from before was a lot of mental spells that don't work on things like mindless undead. But the occult spell list just got a lot better. I think they just added a lot of good spells to it. They have all kinds like Let's see here. Shadow Spy. A bird made of shadows and soil keeps watch over an area. Temporal Twin. Call a version of yourself from a recent timeline to repeat your actions.
Ooh.
Quicken time, stagnate time, telekinetic bombardment, kinetic ram. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of really, really good ones.
I think Dark Archive added a spell. I saw it on Twitter. The for summoning of haha, I get to summon a different alternate dimension version of myself.
Yes. Deadly D8 mentioned it.
Yeah.
It's they have a new temporal spell that whenever you do a summoning spell, you don't summon an actual creature, you summon an alternate version timeline of yourself. So if you summon a troll, you summon the troll version of your character that has many of the same mannerisms and physical features that your character has.
So goofy, I love it.
It's great. The only thing it really does is it makes summoned creatures with skills you're trained in get a bonus, but they take a penalty to skills you're not trained in. But what's really good about that is because you're trained in it, you can make a creature that already has an insane athletics skill have an even higher athletics bonus. It's actually kind of broken. Because creatures are balanced with a sense of proficiency baked into the numbers. So this spell allows you to, if you have a creature that's dedicated purely to trapping creatures, you can make it really hard for creatures to get away. It's really, really good. Let's talk Bard.
Yes, please. I don't know much about Bard.
So Bard's biggest thing is that they have what's called focus cantrips. And these hymns they play, essentially the basic one that everyone gets is Inspire Courage. What Inspire Courage does is it gives all your allies in a 60-foot emanation, which that's gonna fill most rooms you're in. Easy. That's 120 feet across. A +1 status bonus to attack rolls, damage rolls, and saves against fear effects. That's really good. And the thing is, you use these cantrips every turn, so you essentially dedicate an entire an action every turn to maintaining these songs. These composition spells is what they're called. But Dirge of Doom is great because all enemies in a 30-foot emanation are frightened 1 and can't reduce their frightened value below 1 while they're in the area. That's great. Fear is a bad condition for enemies to have because it reduces everything. They take a status penalty to all skills, checks, and DCs.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I've seen a Fear Bard build. It is a scary thing. And
the best part about it is Dirge of Doom into any mental spell because it reduces their DCs and checks, which include saving throws. For a class that has a lot of mental skills, Dirge of Doom is absolutely important.
That's the one Gamble Japes used a lot, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then eventually, bards should also always pick up haste because they're dedicating actions anyway.
Yeah.
At later levels, I believe they can get a feat that just allows them to play their songs with no, as a free action.
Handy.
It's really good. They can also get, I think it's called like earworm or something, which allows allies to gain the effects for their spells even after they end. So you can inspire courage and then go into Dirge of Doom, and then you just swung a +2 bonus to your team in that combat, because everyone's getting a +1 and the enemies are getting a -1. Also, speaking of that combination specifically, taking spells like the Bless spell is really good, because Bless doesn't need to be maintained. It's a 5-foot emanation at first, and it gives a +1 status bonus to attack rolls within the emanation. But if you sustain it, it increases its size by another 5 feet. So you can Dirge of Doom, Bless. That's a 2-point swing in your team's favor. You could also do the opposite and do Inspire Courage and Bane, and it essentially does the same thing.
Is Bane? Yeah, I was about to ask. Like, yeah, Bane does the same thing, right?
Yeah. Kind of. It gives a penalty on enemy. I think it actually just gives a penalty on enemies' attack rolls. Yeah.
I just meant mainly that it increases in size as you go.
Yeah. That's the same thing. And it really makes the Bard feat Effortless Concentration really good, because Effortless Concentration allows you to sustain a spell as a free action every round. So you can make those spells pretty much automatically grow every turn for a minute.
That's fun. That's really fun, actually.
Yeah, Bard's really, really good. It's a really good debuffer. It got now, because it's a full caster class, its attack spells are actually really good. They're as good as a wizard's, pretty much. So you can hurt enemies now really bad with psychic spells. There's also they get a composition spell called Dreadful Aria or whatever, and it can just kill an enemy. You make a performance check, and if they crit fail the fort save, they die.
Love to hear it.
It's great. It's absolutely amazing. Let's see here. There was something else I wanted to bring up. Oh yeah, I do have some ending words, but that could wait. What's in our class? What's in our class you're curious about, like, making a great build for?
You know what? This is coming up. We might have talked about it a little bit, but Ranger. That's one I've had a character concept like brewing as of late with Ranger.
Yeah, so Ranger is, I think, a mid-max's best friend. Flurry literally is one of the best abilities in the game, and it's broken. Because it reduces your multi-attack penalty on your hunted prey. You do have to have an action to hunt your prey, of course. So it's a little bit balanced. But when you run the numbers, the longer the fight goes, the more damage Ranger does.
Huh.
Because they have less attack penalty. And if attack penalty is equated to chance to hit, which overall equates to how much damage you're doing in a fight, Ranger can very easily outpace Fighter in damage the longer the combat goes. Because with Flurry, your second attack is at a -3, and your third attack is at a -6. Fighter gets +2 to hit, so they do 10% more damage on the second hit, and on the first hit, And on the second hit, fighter and ranger are striking at the same, which is because fighter has a +2 at that level, essentially. They both equate to -3. And then the third attack, fighter loses 30% of their damage, and ranger only loses 20, I think.
Huh.
Or no, yeah, about that. It's weird. Because it's -6, essentially ranger does 40% more damage on the third strike than most classes. And compared to fighter, which has that 2, it's ranger does 20% more damage on third plus strikes than fighter does. Not a lot, because again, fighter does, it essentially equals out, right? But once you get to Masterful Hunter upgrade, your multi-attack penalty for your second attack is -2, and then -4. If you're using agile weapons, it's -1 and -2. And agile weapons for the first category are even better. It's -2 for agile, or -4 for flurry, up until level 17. So if you get a really good, strong agile weapon, it's really good. So you may be asking, all right, how do you make ranger really good?
Yeah.
The secret sauce is actually cleric or champion archetype dedication.
Really?
Yes. So you pick up either champion or cleric. I think cleric's easier, but what you do is you pick up the first feat, and then you pick up a level 1 feat. You pick up Deadly Simplicity, which makes a simple weapon upgrade its damage die by 1.
Handy.
It's good. It's really good, especially because let's look at, if Archive of Nethys will let me, let's look at the weapons, and let's look for simple agile weapons. Because we know if you're a flurry ranger, you get that plus, or it's only a -2 to hit with your second attack and a -4 to hit with your third attack, which is nuts.
It is nuts.
Let's see. Oh, there's all kinds of really good ones here. Can we find an agile weapon that does a D6? I'm sure we can. Oh, is there no agile weapons that do a D6?
Well, there has to be. Doesn't a kukri do that? That's agile.
It's not simple.
Oh, okay.
It has to be simple. I mean, forked bipod is not bad, which is funny. Okay, well, let's look at the guitar, right? So, guitar, they're essentially hand blades you use for punching.
Nice.
You get, I guarantee there is a god that has the guitar as its weapon. Yes, Atreya. And Atreya is a neutral good deity, which is pretty easy to get to. You get a deadly D6 agile weapon, and because you have deadly simplicity, it does D6s. That's honestly pretty good. It's a really good damage, and because you're going to be attacking a lot, you're going to be critting a lot, and that deadly is going to be adding on to your damage. And you just got to pick up the ranger feat, like hunted Hunted Slash or whatever. Twin Takedown. And that's if you're wielding 2 weapons, which Katara is one-handed weapon, agile, and you strike twice with 1 action, with a weapon in each hand. So that's pretty much the best way to make Ranger broken. There's also Devin's Precision build that we just have seen recently.
Yeah.
Which you get gravity weapon, add crossbow ace, and suddenly you have a crossbow doing 20 damage plus at like level 5. You only shoot once in a round, but that's okay because that's the only one you're likely to hit with anyway.
Yeah.
And you're doing a butt ton of damage. A metric ton of damage. And I think now that we've hit level 7, it got worse because he got weapon specialization, which added weapon specialization damage. So it's going to be doing more damage.
Uh-oh.
Not only that, but if you take the Ranger feat, that gives you a animal companion. Your animal companion gets the benefit of hunted prey on its first attack as well. So if you have precision, your animal companion does an additional D8 or D10 precision damage on its first attack against your hunted prey. D8. Other than that, all Ranger needs is haste or anything that gives them a quickened action to counteract hunt prey, and they're good to go. Either they use that extra action to hunt prey, they can't use it for hunt prey, but it equates to it, or they're attacking more times in the round instead, doing more damage, especially if they're flurry. A flurry hasted Ranger is nuts. And like I said, you pick up that deadly simplicity, you can pick a lot of really good weapons and up their damage. And all kinds of things. Rangers got a lot. Precision with deadly simplicity also works really well, because you can get a D10 precision weapon, or you can get a D10 weapon with deadly simplicity that you can use with, against your hunted prey. So there's a lot with Ranger that you can do to do a wide variety of things. You can boost your team. You can your animal companion is so strong. I love animal companions in Pathfinder. Your animal companions feel legitimately like battle assets.
Yeah, like worthwhile.
Like they're essentially a character of your level.
Huh.
And you just use an action to give them 2 actions. Your Ranger loses an action, but you get a net action gain from doing it. And if you take things like Twin Takedown or Hunted Shot with it, you can get 6 actions in a round easy. Because you command your animal, it does 2 actions. You use Hunted Shot, gives you 2 actions. And you do your own action. Your own action. And if you're hasted, that's 6 actions.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Flurry Rangers are broken. Flurry Rangers do a lot of damage because they just attack over and over. And if you're using agile weapons, you have a really good accuracy to just do damage. Like, it's nuts. And even if you don't want to do damage, Outwit is actually not that bad. You get a +2 circumstance bonus to deception checks, intimidation checks, or stealth checks. There's so many different styles to play. Mixing Outwit with Gunslinger is really, really good because you can play the Sniper Gunslinger and get access to its abilities, and then you're constantly in combat, ducking in and out of cover, hitting enemies with your gun with a higher chance to hit because you're striking from being hidden, which makes them automatically flat-footed.
Yeah.
Or you could add scout to the mix, and you're running up on people using that bonus to stealth to feint people as a part of scout's charge, which is really good. Makes it really good as shadow dancer. You also get that bonus to recall knowledge about your prey, and you increase the circumstance bonus against that prey from +2 to +4 at Masterful Hunter, which is nuts. +4 is crazy.
That is.
And you also get a +1 circumstance bonus to AC against your prey's attacks. If you mix that with Sentinel, you get a really high AC bonus against enemies. And you could be a tank against your hunted prey. You could make a legitimate tank build with it, Outwit, actually.
That sounds really interesting. I have a little like character concept cooking because whenever I get like hooked on a thing, I want to make a character based on it. And I mentioned this before we started the stream. I've been playing a lot of Stalker, specifically Stalker the Anomaly mod, which is really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a mod that combines all the content from all three games into one big game.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to play a character that kind of functions like a Stalker because I think they're super cool. Like mercenaries who take up odd jobs, and one of the main jobs Stalkers take up is they escort like groups of like people like scientists or tourists as they're called in that world.
Mm-hmm.
Just like my job is to take you through a really dangerous environment and get you to A to B safely.
You can easily do that.
Oh yeah.
Easy. Take quiet allies, take the various terrain expertise. Not only will you be gaining their quiet, but you also will be increasing your overland travel. And yeah, you can do a lot of fun stuff with it. Another really fun ranger build I think people sleep on a little bit is taking druid multi-class archetype to get some primal elemental spells, mix in geomancer, mix in horizon walker, and you got someone that if you're in a given terrain, they are unstoppable.
Hell yeah.
They get bonuses for being in the terrain. When they cast a spell, they get more bonuses for being in that terrain. They can use all kinds of different difficult terrain to make the enemy's life hell. It's a really strong build.
I'll have to look into more of that stuff. And also just kind of keeps up the thing of if I'm making a character, I just gotta talk to you. Like, quick, what are some fun things I can throw in there?
Trust me, anyone. We're at the end now, so we can shout it out. Anyone who wants good builds for like Pathfinder 2E that are designed to be more fun, talk to me in our Discord. Go down to the Discord link in the description, or there's a link below on Twitch. Join our Discord. We got all kinds of people all the time. We talk all things tabletop, including things like Warhammer 40k. Also, speaking of Warhammer 40k, we're currently recruiting for our Warhammer 40k game. That's going to be in a couple weeks here. The session 0 is the week of the 24th, and the first session is the first week of August.
I'm very excited.
I'm very glad I took the extra week now because I'm going to be really, really busy this next week. But we are currently recruiting. We need 3 more people. So if anyone's interested, please go join the Discord and then DM me, because you have to be in the Discord to apply, essentially. We've been getting some more people recently, too. We got a couple people just not too long ago.
Yeah. It's always fun to see more people join.
Also, I'm undertaking a hard project for myself. I was talking with someone the other day, and I learned that I discovered the next evolution of tabletop in our conversation. I'm joining a roleplay forum for role playing. Like, it's essentially tabletop in forum form in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
This site especially has it's called Terrasphere. They have dice rolls. You make your characters. You level them up. The site has a lot of very consistent growth for your characters as long as you're active on the site. But I was talking about it, and it's the next evolution of tabletop. Imagine tabletop. Imagine a game of tabletop that not only could you play when your friends manage to finally all get together, but you can play the tabletop in your free time. Imagine a system that you can seamlessly go from play-by-post or forum posting, and you just are like, hey, wanna hop into a lobby and we can try to get a DM on, and we can just play right now. This utterly changes what tabletop is. Good morning, DNF Dead. Welcome. Because the number one issue I find with tabletop is getting a group together.
It's immensely difficult.
But there's other issues as well. You know how hard it is to have your own character arcs and narratives when you're tied to another group the whole time?
Yeah.
Like, it happens. DM set it up for you, sure. But you're only doing it one person at a time, typically. Imagine you're playing your weekly game with your friends, and you just need more tabletop in your life, so you just hop on the forum, and you do stuff in between your sessions, and you come back to your session with more stuff. Or more, like, skills, or whatever, you know? And you can have relationships with people, like friends outside of your group that you could have, like, referenced in the narrative. You can go and be like, hey, I'll go talk to my friend when we get some downtime and see if I can get us any more information on this quest we're on or whatever. And then you just go into, like, you go into a roleplay with this person, another person at a cafe, and you just have a conversation. You don't do that in tabletop. You don't get the ability to have your own life in tabletop most of the time.
No, not really.
All you have to do to make this work is, one, have a very regulated site. A site that, when games are run, the time is recorded on the website, so justifiably time has passed. And after you're done role-playing on the website, like, it's either all there in post for people to see, or if you're done in, like, a voice chat, all you have to do is, after the voice chat is done, the DM just has to type in the events that happened, and then you could even continue that adventure play by post until the next time you can get together.
Yeah, it's super cool. Like, it's actually something I have a character approved in that same forum. It's just going about to posting, and then also seeing if I like this method in general, because like I got approved like a day or two ago, but I was in no state to roleplay like yesterday. I'm there to see if I enjoy it. It's something I've never like done before, and like never tried and never had a drive to do, but it seems pretty cool.
Yeah, I have a very interesting concept for my character on the site.
Yeah, I'm playing I'm playing an essentially a melee a Smash Bros melee player. He's just an esport like adrenaline junkie.
Yeah, I'm playing a guy who's like in his mid to late 30s, lonely, and he's like he's just obsessed with like making machines and stuff. So he jumps in, he's a machinist, and he learns that he can put spirits in the machines. And then he tries to make shells for these spirits that are ergonomic to the spirit's type itself, rather than just making a machine and shoving a spirit in it. He's trying to make actual machines for the spirits that apply to their traits. So I'll have like spirit machines that flow if they're watery, or that constantly are sparking if they're like fire or electric. And I really like the idea of the character that can like make guns and makes all kind of cool gadgets and stuff in fantasy. So like Ara Ferretta is a really good example of that. And so I want to make a character like that, and so that's what I'm going for.
That's fair. The character I'm rolling with is essentially he's a Captain Falcon main in Melee.
Nice.
And so he's a super speed martial art like character. He's pure rushdown because he found this. His whole thing is he's like, man, I get this fun adrenaline boost from playing like fighting games and playing them in a really weird way or against like really high level players. And then just it starts dying down, and he just keeps jumping from game to game until he gets into this dangerous game. And yeah, he's essentially just like wants to be like, he just wants to do things that are hype and very dangerous so he can like feel alive. And yeah, I mean, essentially large inspiration from Captain Falcon, because you have to like face claim a character.
Yeah.
I did yoink a pretty, honestly, I'm surprised no one else took it. It's this really like popular character from Hunter x Hunter. Let me get the name real quick.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like, honestly, I was like surprised to see it open.
There's not a lot of people on the site currently.
Not too much.
But no, like, I legitimately think the future of tabletop is going to be a hybrid with forum play. Because the best part is, if you don't like forum play, you don't have to do it, and you can do it the old-fashioned way. But if you don't mind forum play, or even if you prefer it, the options are available, and you can have role play that's a lot more of a social event. And you know, if your DM is concerned about like your character getting, I don't know, some broken stuff illegitimately or whatever, all you have to do is just make a game like Pathfinder. And Pathfinder, even if my players went out and played in like other games, the only thing I have to really worry about is them just having like a bunch of magic items, but that you can't even really have that many because you have so many slots, essentially. Mm-hmm. And your item, the levels characters can use, item levels characters can use, are based on the character's level. Like, it's really hard to break, like, even if Pathfinder was done in this way, the worst that can happen is your character just comes back with more options to handle situations in your game. That's it.
All right, I found the character, the person I face claimed.
Who is it?
The famous, beloved character Katso from Hunter x Hunter.
Katso.
Yeah, he's super popular.
Katso.
He's one of the sailors from the first episode.
Oh my
He's in the show for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Wow. I I thought you were straight memeing like I picked Killua or something.
No.
No, Katsu. Yeah, I don't even know who the fuck that is.
I was just looking through the Hunter x Hunter wiki. I was like, I don't know, Hunter x Hunter's cool. It's one of the ones I've watched. And I was like, Katsu. I remember your bandana anywhere.
I picked like, I guess, a main character from a manhwa.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been picked yet, so. That's the one thing I dislike about forum play stuff is face claiming. It kind of sucks you out of the immersion sometimes.
A bit.
But in the future, this hybrid system that, you know, where you can play tabletop whenever you want. You can roleplay in your downtime with in tabletop whenever you want. You know, you can have artists on the site that all they have to do is just say, hey, I'll make your character and I'll do it in the site's style of art. And then you can have artists make money on the site easy because they'll have as many commissions as they can handle. And if you have a very easy and definable style, that it creates jobs. You know what I mean?
True.
It's like I legitimately believe you can clip it now. The future tabletop is going to have a hybridization with forum roleplay, and you'll be able to roleplay as much as you want. Roleplaying will become like a video game where you can just hop into a lobby with other people and roleplay. And you know the best part about it is you can have your forum character, which you don't care about as much as like your group character or whatever. And then you can just go onto the forums and just play with this character. You can join lobbies and you can join impromptu games. There's a lot you can do with this system. Even if you don't like forum role-playing, if you're just in an environment of other people who are desperate for tabletop as well, you can just queue up and find a game like that. And if you don't like it, you can just ditch.
Yep, that's the thing I'm going for right now. I'm gonna see if it's a thing I'm interested in the slightest. And if not, oh well. Because mainly I did it because I just wanted something to like get the creative juices flowing so I can actually just start writing. So I got some writing I gotta do. I've been putting off. For both like my own creative stuff and then also just like things I need to get done.
And we didn't talk about Rogue today, my squeezing arm, but Rogue is really good because they can actually change the key attribute they use for their class. You can have a Rogue of many different flavors and styles that are just so good. If you really like the spell thief route, you can go that easy. It's solid. And Ruffian is really good. If you take a look at how I make characters, I was starting to essentially make a Ruffian style Shadow Warrior character. And I could make that character and it'd probably be a really solid character.
Yeah. I'm surprised we didn't talk about Rogue.
We didn't talk about half the classes today, honestly.
That's true. Rogue's always the one you think of when it's like really, really strong.
That's true. I mostly just focus on the classes that I felt needed to be talked about because people don't understand how they work, or that like if you want to play in the class well, you really got to play the mechanics right, because Magus can be really fun or it can suck depending on how you play it. Yeah. So, and I love Magus. I want other people to enjoy it. So telling people how to enjoy Magus is just in the list of things I want to do. Also, so news before we finish. Next week, I will be posting a video every day because I just got access to the Dark Archive. So next week, I'm going to be talking about, let's see here. I'm going to be talking about the Psychic class, the Thought Maturge class, their archetypes. I'm going to be talking about... Let's see here. Is there a list of the... There are some archetypes in this list. Let's see here. I'm going to be talking about the alter ego archetype, the living vessel archetype. Alter ego sounds interesting. I'm going to be talking about the Pathfinder archetype, the curse maelstrom archetype, the time mage archetype, the chrono skimmer archetype, the mindsmith archetype, the psychic duelist archetype, and the sleepwalker archetype.
Jesus.
Yeah, we got some really fun stuff that is coming up. Will you compare Psychic to third-party offerings? No. No third-party stuff here on this channel. Mostly because that is infinite. And it's not generally available. Some DMs do not want third-party content, which I respect. They want to keep it generally within their wheelhouse. Do people that use third-party content, I have absolutely no issue with. But I feel like for the most general style of play, talking about third-party content is not... When I have so much to talk about already, I don't feel like really fits in with what we do here. I'm sure there's other channels that may, but there's a lot of stuff that just makes Pathfinder 2E great, and they have some great third-party stuff. I know we're going to be talking to... Oh yeah, more news. Next week, we will be talking to Mark Seifter, who worked on both Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition. Pretty big name, honestly. Also in Roll for Combat, and also was one of the pretty much lead designers in Battlezoo. And we're going to be talking about Battlezoo's latest book that's coming out this month, Eldamon, which will be releasing on the 26th, I do believe. So we will be here next week, and that... Excuse me, sorry. That tabletop will be starting at 5:30 p.m. So I'll post about it a couple of days beforehand. I'll make sure, try to let everyone know. It'll be posted on the Discord, YouTube, and on my Twitter. We will be doing that next week. Battlezoo is dope, and Battlezoo is third party. It absolutely kicks ass, and it's gonna be really good. They're adding like 160 Eldamon, I think, to the game, and they're pretty much adding Pokemon to tabletop, and I think that's a fun, innovative way to get people into the game. And talking with Mark, I can't remember his name at the moment. I'm sorry. Not Seifter, but the other guy. His name might not even be Mark. He wanted to make tabletop that was fun for adults, but fun for kids as well. Because we're getting to an age now. Where parents are introducing their kids to tabletop.
Isn't it like a lot of the new people that are coming to tabletop are kids right now? As parents are like introducing the hobby to kids.
5th edition got a lot of that. There's a lot of teens right now who are joined during the Critical Role era. And most of the people who've really enjoyed the hobby like a lot. Steven Glicker. Yeah, that's what we're Glicker. Great guy. I'm just bad with names. Most of them, like, I'm gonna have probably kids in a few years, you know, and I'm definitely gonna introduce them to tabletop. Most people nowadays who are getting into tabletop average between their 20s and 40s, so a good portion of them already have kids and will have kids in the nearish future. And having tabletop that's easy, accessible for them is great. And one of the reasons why this hobby may see a second boom in the next, like, 15 years. Because there's going to be a lot of kids growing up with this stuff. A lot more than ever before. So, tabletop's got a long way to grow still. And, you know, here on this channel, here on Table Talk, or Table Talk, Bad Luck Gamer, we also want to make entertainment for kids and such in a way that's also enjoyable for adults. And one of the projects we're currently working on, I think will do just that. So it's the future of tabletop, I think, is bright. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up here on this channel, especially. The channel's been seeing so much growth. Next week, this channel is going to blow up with all the content that I'm producing next week alone. We're probably going to see, like, a lot of people. We might get 100 people next week, and that's no joke.
That'd be fun.
That'd be crazy. And then we'll hit 1,000, and then that'll be even crazier. So we got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff coming up. Tell your friends to keep an eye on the channel. We got fun stuff. This is the only place to find detailed information on archetypes. I'll be the only one pumping away the archetypes for Dark Archive. So yeah, it's great. Whatever we got going on, because I know no one's gonna make. Everyone's doing, like, here's all the stuff in this chapter of the book, and I'm gonna make specialized content for everything. Not only that, but I'm gonna make videos that are easy to digest for Thought-Maturge and Psychic. No 2-hour videos. They'll be 20 to 30 minutes max, and I'll just be talking about what makes the class awesome. So if you want nice condensed information about all the good things, all the really great things in a given class, check us out next week. But with that, we're going to go ahead and say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.